Alrighty. Hey friends, welcome to Zoom and Zoomies, the show where 2 lesbians, 3 cats, and 1 dog decided that living in a camper full-time sounded like a great idea.
We're sharing the real behind the scenes of remote work, road trips, and all the chaos that comes with trading square footage for freedom.
I'm Britt, and I am cold. The weather is starting to get chilly, but it is nice to see fall and think about the fact that I haven't had to run my AC in weeks.
And I'm V, and I am absolutely thriving in this weather. As a reminder, I grew up in Louisiana, which is the swamps, and it was always hot and humid, so we never got to experience like a real fall, in my opinion, and this is lovely, and I'm enjoying it unlike some people.
I'm enjoying it too. I'm just taking some adjusting. So every week we're going to bring you stories, tips, and probably a few freakouts from our journey as we figure out camper life and remote work and life itself, one mistake at a time.
In each episode, we'll have a couple of exciting mini segments and also address a specific topic. Today, we're going to talk about what types of software and tools we like to use. But first, let's kick off our first segment with what TikTok did not tell us.
We talked about this a little bit, I feel like, in previous episodes, but it's continued to carry on, so I actually feel like we need to really dive into the fact that TikTok did not tell you that when you become a camper, you or your partner, someone, is going to become the lumberjack of the family. It's going to be pyromania. I thought I was the campfire person, and I'm like a mild campfire person. Like, I like them. They're nice. But V is obsessed.
It doesn't help that I keep wearing flannel.
You really are giving lumberjack lesbian vibes.
I was messaging your sister, Rachel, the other day about how I was chopping up kindling with my kindling splitter, and I was wearing flannel while doing it.
Yeah, it was pretty impressive. We have a cat coming around the camera here. We're trying a new filming setup today, by the way. If you're watching on YouTube, we'll see if we like this setup or not.
But, on the topic of campfires, can we have one tonight?
Absolutely, we can have one tonight. What else are Friday nights for?
For the record, I don't need a fire starter.
Yeah, you don't need a fire starter. She is so next level. She can actually do this with, I don't know, a flint. No, you haven't tried a flint yet. But, I mean,
No.
She needs a flame, right? We use a flamethrower, but...
By flamethrower, she means a lighter. For context, the people who don't know, that's what you and your family calls just lighters.
Yes.
Although, have I looked at, like, those little flint sticks that you can get? Yes.
She has.
She's actually looking, or was wanting to buy an actual flamethrower for the record.
By the way, side note, remind me, I think I have a flint stick under the camper
Really?
in a box, I think. So, yes, remind me.
That's exciting.
Yeah, we can take a look at that. But, yeah, that's some pretty exciting stuff for sure that we've got going on. And if anyone is listening, is interested in campfires and wants to explore more tips and tricks for what is it like to set that up, and how do we keep a fire going, and how do we safely put it out, V would love to do a whole episode on this, I'm sure.
I can do this. I can thrive in this. But that does bring us to a great, kind of like a segue into the next topic, which is the Zoomies Tip Jar. Did a kindling cracker thing. I don't know what to call it.
Yeah, I'm going to include a picture of it here. I think I also mentioned it in another episode if you were watching on YouTube. But come watch on YouTube and you can see right here. Doot, doot, doot. I'm going to insert an image of it. But
I think this one particular thing has what set it all off, because I saw your dad using it to create the kindling or just to split the logs for the campfires. I was like, I want to try that. And then I was doing it. I think he had to like take the sledgehammer out of my hand at one point, be like, we have enough cut up now.
It's admittedly, had I seen this thing before, it would have completely changed my perspective on chopping wood, because I'm used to like your axe and you just go bang, bang, bang.
Not
and, like,
efficient at all.
It's a lot of work and it's fun. It's, good to get everything out of you. But
I
this
want
one,
to caveat this real quick.
Yeah.
If you have a good axe or a hatchet, no offense to yours, I've been on a mission to sharpen it and it's still nowhere near where I want it to be.
I mean, it was a cheap hatchet and it's really just meant for like random run-of-the-mill things that I've never needed it for. So go ahead and sharpen it. Sharpening, tools is also a good thing to do instead of just buying new ones. I appreciate that you're on that mission, but yeah, this kindling cracker thing lets gravity kind of work on your side. So basically, you can just kind of bang down into a blade rather than, I don't know,
using a blade to try to chop it.
Yeah.
It's like, so the setup is like a cylinder thing with a blade at the bottom, and then you put the wood in and just use like a sledgehammer or a mallet to bang the wood down and it'll split.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a pretty cool tool. I think it works really nicely if you're interested in trying it out.
The moment I went and bought it, I came back. I barely said hi to Brittany, and then I just immediately set out to crack some of the firewood logs. Now we have a great pile.
Yeah, maybe I'll include a picture of that as well. But we are thriving with fire and wood. So you know what? Let's go ahead and move into our main topic today just because I'm super excited to talk about this. This is, if you're watching me on YouTube, this is the type of thing I usually am talking about. Prior to when we started this podcast, I was talking about technology and tools and all of the different things I love to use and build. And so I'm really excited to bring everything back together. And you know what? I realized I didn't even plan it today, but today I am wearing a Trello shirt to talk about one of my favorite softwares that helps us in the camper, which is Trello. I'm obsessed with Trello. If you don't know what Trello is, it is a digital whiteboard with supercharged sticky notes. That's how I like to describe it. If you just spend, a few more minutes on my channel and click any other video besides my Zoom and Zoomies podcast stuff, you're probably going to see more content about it. But yeah, I use it for all sorts of things, specifically within the camper. We use it for planning trips, like our big adventure we just took. V and I both coordinated things in a Trello board of like, where are we going to go? Where are we going to stop for fuel? And kind of, there's a map view where you can plot things out and see it on a map, but there's also like checklists. So it's like, here's what I need to do to make this happen.
And it was really helpful because, like, I didn't want to bother Brittany with so many questions. Like, where are we going to be on this day? Where are we going to be on that day? Special appearance with Levi.
Hi, Levi.
Oh, dear Lord. What is...
He's
okay.
Hang on.
Anyways,
look in the back.
so with everything on Trello, I can see what area we're going to be in, so I can look up, is there anything around the surrounding area that I would want to do, and I don't have to bother her and ask. I can just, like, put it, and then you can create a card as, like, kind of just, like, a suggestion, and then later on, when we both have the time, we can be like, all right, what do we want to do on this day?
Yeah, we actually used it for our time in Toronto. I listed a bunch of things that I found online, and Trello has this like vote function where you can kind of like upvote cards, and it was a good way to kind of sort through what do we want to do and what does that look like. So, yeah, I thought that was really cool. I also use Trello I have like a stored checklist that's basically like all the things I need to remember to do for hooking up the camper to the truck, tearing everything down outside, and then, setting things up. And I'm going to be honest, I don't always look at that checklist because it has started to become second nature to me. But honestly, this is exactly why you need to look at checklists, because you start to get cocky about it being second nature and you forget things. And every time I do, I'll miss like one little step, and usually it's not a big one, but yeah. So it's helpful to have that step and those checklists of things just listed out. I use Trello, but we actually recently made a Google Doc that I took everything from my Trello board. And because not everyone's on Trello, if you want a copy of what are the things you do when you're tearing down and setting up, and, what are the things I need to remember to do when I'm moving around and traveling, I'll include a link to it in the description. But basically, it's a checklist that is in Google Docs, and you can make a copy and you can add it, you can change things to it, or you can just print it out and laminate it. We used to actually do that even before Trello. We just literally had like a physical laminated copy of the things that we do, so I didn't even have to mess with my phone. But yeah, now I find it a lot better on my phone just because we were constantly changing so much of it that the printouts weren't working.
I can only laminate so much at a time.
Yeah. I also have a Trello board for inventory. I admittedly don't use this as much. I'm not good at keeping it updated, which is the biggest problem with it, but I have a Trello board for inventory, and this was more useful when we were back and forth between the camper and here, we would go back and forth between home and the camper, where I could see, here's what I've got in the camper, here's how many, AA batteries I have, here's how much paprika I have, because what started the need for the board was I kept forgetting we had paprika, and eventually we had like 3 things of paprika in here.
I think we still do.
I think we still do as well. So, anyways, that's super useful.
I think you also did it for your clothes, because, like, one time you accidentally was like, I have clothes in the camper, and it turns out she did not have as much clothes as you thought you did.
Yeah, see, that's exactly the problem, too, is that I actually, and that's why I'm bad at updating it, because had I updated, I would have known I actually didn't have clothes, because I think I made this board before that, and I didn't check the board because I'm silly and human, and I forgot and like got in the camper and literally had like the shirt on my back and like one other t-shirt for like a 10-day trip, and obviously that wasn't gonna work great, so ended up getting some more shirts out of that. But it's a good way to keep track of what do I have in the camper, what do I need to remember to bring from home, even when you're not, like even when you're doing this full time. Honestly, it would be more useful if we would do that sometimes too, because it I actually set up my Trello board to remind me basically when things would get below a certain amount, so I could automatically add that to my shopping list. I'll drop a link in the show notes here that explain, if you want something like that, how I set up that board to do that, so you could do it too. But that's pretty advanced. Not everyone needs to use Trello in that much of a fashion.
We also use it for meal planning. I think we've touched on this a handful of times,
Yeah.
but Brittany, being the Trello nerd that she is, she has the automation set up to anytime when we're meal planning, if we have a meal in and we approve it, it will list out all the ingredients that we need for it to be put into a shopping list. And then you also have it to where the common things like salt or oil or things like that, it would automatically...
It filters out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can also drop a link to some content about that because I spent a lot of time making a blog post and a video about how I set up that board, and it's actually really powerful. Again, whether you're in a camper or not, it's a really great way to keep track of what you need to buy based on the meals that you make. If you're someone who likes to regularly make a lot of new meals, it works. It works really, really well for someone who has like the same, 40 or 50 meals that you generally kind of rotate through, which I think is us. Because it's easy for reusability and stuff. If you're making something new every day, I don't know who does that, but some people enjoy that.
We like to follow a recipe mostly
Yeah.
because, especially with it in a camper, we don't have a lot of room for like extra food or food waste or things like that. So we have to be really conscious and mindful of the amounts of things that we're getting.
Yeah.
So we pretty much plan our meals. Not actually to a T. Like I'll have like vegetables on hand that I want to make with my breakfast or things like that. But yeah, so
We are pretty strategic with it.
Yeah, pretty much.
And Trello helps us do that.
As someone who has now used Trello, I went to the grocery shopping. I think you were gone. It was back when I went shopping with Lane. We did not use a Trello board, and I can't tell you the number of items we missed because we did not use the Trello board.
It makes a huge difference. Levi, thank you. Thank you for helping, Levi.
Where you want to be, bub?
He doesn't know. So moving on to other tools that we use, because shocker, I do use things besides Trello. We also use Google Sheets for various things. Our most common one is budgeting. And I've always been a big budgeter, and there are actually some things that I do with that in Trello, such as like keeping track of some bigger spend categories and how I'm like doing things with that. But for the most part, we actually use Google Sheets to share and collaborate on, okay, we roughly want to spend $600 a month on groceries, and keeping track of Levi, if you're watching on YouTube, has decided he actually is the center of the show right now.
I mean, he is the star, let's be honest.
He is. Oh, no, he's changed his mind. Too shy.
You get a great view of his tail.
So the sheets work really well because we can kind of see, this was our target of spend for this category. I don't like doing it by a lot of categories. To be honest, I think it really gets annoying. I could do a whole episode about my philosophy on budgeting in general, and I know we did one about costs in the camper, but I don't get super specific about how much should we spend on coffee versus whatever. The way we really think
just
through,
have general categories,
right? Well, and even then, it's very few of them. It's more of like those sort of things we know are going to happen, but are really tough to kind of nail down. So, for instance, we track gas, and we track groceries, and we track pet stuff, 3 separate categories. Those are the ones that we really are keeping an eye on and actually trying to make sure we're planning for the right amounts of spend there.
And that, when we're budgeting, we're allocating correctly. About what's going into our groceries. Are we putting enough aside for all the vet visits we have? I mean, 4 pets, it gets a lot.
Right, and that's the type of thing you don't want to be surprised by if you think you're spending $100 a month and realize you're actually spending, $300 or, vice versa. And it's kind of nice to just keep track of that sort of stuff. So I don't know that we'll do that for forever, but we've started kind of nailing that down a little bit more just to really make sure that we're not wildly going over what we think we're going over, and we'll go from there. But yeah, Google Sheets is obviously great for that because you can access it from your phone, update it whenever. If he buys groceries, she can go update it. If I do it, I can do it from my phone, and it all syncs up.
And then I get nerdy about it. I have it to where, grocery shopping, where if I want to, track if we're spending more at one grocery store, you don't have to be that nitpicky like I am, but, and then you can also do those types of, what do you call it?
Aggregations?
Well, functions in Google Sheets, I guess.
Yeah, basically sums and aggregations, so you can, yeah, so that's Google Sheets. Another one I want to talk about is, I think I'm using this more than you are, but I have created a Zeit, which is, I've also got a video about Zeit that I'm happy to tell you about. It's like basically, how do I explain it? It's kind of like a vibe coding tool, but it's like better than vibe coding, if that makes sense. It's one of the more like reliable ones, and it's one of those like, it's really good at like certain things, and it's super easy to work with. It's built by the same people who built Fill Out, which is a really cool form tool that I use that integrates with lots of stuff. And so anyways, I use Zeit to basically build an app that is, I call it Bore Organizer, because it's like organizing the boring things. And I previously used Trello for this, and Trello still works for this, but what I actually like about Organizer via Zeit is it's like a really nice app that I can just use like on my phone. And I'll probably end up including some screenshots of these things that I'm talking about and how we use them, but it's an app that literally just keeps track of, okay, these are the types of things you have to do on regular intervals. For instance, I need to, run the camping generator for at least 10 minutes every, couple months. I need to lubricate my hitch. I need to check seals on the roof. I need to do laundry. I need to, all those sort of things. Change the Brita filter, give Levi flea medicine. And so it literally is just a simple application that basically takes a database of those things, but then like returns it in a nice way so that B and I can see what we need to do. And so I will share it on YouTube here, but it's literally this app that has all of these different like categories, but these different sort of actions. And it's like, here's what you need to do today. And when I do it, all I need to do is check it off, and it stores, oh, this is the date you did it, and you need to do it every X days. So it sets the next due date to be whatever today is plus that. I used to use calendars to do that, but I found that wasn't very helpful because I couldn't remember if I actually did it or not. Like, flea medicine's a great example. Mm-hmm. Like, did V do it? Did I do it? Did either one of us do it? And, like, if we end up doing it, like, a week late, well, we need to adjust the calendar. And so it became a whole thing there. Yeah, I'm not sure I've really fully gotten you into that yet. I think you don't like having too many tools to check. Is that a fair assessment?
I am fine with being told what I need to do, and I will do that during my day.
Yeah, exactly. Which brings us to Google Calendar. I think this is one we both leverage a ton, and yes, I have recently learned is kind of your preferred style of task management.
Yeah, I'm a big time blocker, so I don't like to just like, okay, these are the things I need to get done in one day. I need to allocate time during my day to do it, so that's why I love Google Calendar, but also, I mean, obviously Britt's working and I'm not, but like she has meetings and whatnot, so I need to make sure that I don't bother you or interrupt you when you're in particularly important meetings, or maybe, don't walk around in my PJs or just a sports bra. May or may not have happened.
Yeah, I think it works great for that. It's definitely the name of the game when you're sharing this much or this little space is like everyone being literally on the same page. And so giving her access to my calendar is super easy to see like what I have going on, and making sure that, like you said, what meetings I'm in and not. But also, yeah, it makes sense for scheduling out your days too. I use Akiflow, which actually, I do have on here to talk about. That's probably kind of a similar segue to how you like to put tasks on your calendar. Mm-hmm. I don't necessarily do it like very rigidly in the form of like events, but I use a tool called Akiflow. Have another video about this, but basically it's kind of combines the best of time blocking for your tasks and your things on your calendar. And so it basically gives me this like side-by-side view of here's the things I need to do today and here's the meetings I have. And then I can kind of drag things onto the calendar if I want, which can be helpful for gauging, is it realistic about what I want to do today or not? But then I can very quickly use like keyboard shortcuts to say, actually, no, that's not going to work. Go do it tomorrow. Or I can just, kind of check things off as it goes. So I really like being able to kind of have the flexibility of that, because sometimes, like, I know I have these 3 things I want to do today. I know it's realistic. I don't know which one I'm going to start with. I don't know which one I'm going to go to next. I just kind of use the ADHD energy to kind of flow with that.
I guess maybe we should have mentioned this at the beginning, but we do what we call a family sync pretty much every week. And it basically is just sitting down with our Trello boards and our calendar.
Yeah.
To plan out, okay, let's call out, we have appointments coming up this week. If somebody is having a difficult time giving blood, okay, do I have time to go with her? Did she schedule a time that works out for the both of us? And things like that.
Yeah, that's actually another good point of Trello that I forgot to mention. And I don't know if I have a YouTube video on it, but I know I have a blog post on how we use Trello for our family planning sync, and I've actually got like a template if you all want to use that as well. But yeah, it's basically we spend a few minutes beforehand. If you work in tech and you're kind of used to the idea of a stand up, imagine doing something like that, but kind of like weekly, where you're basically calling out like what you're working on, what's coming up, like any support you need or blockers or anything with that. It's kind of a similar version, and it's a good way to just yeah. We also incorporate some bits about like mentioning what we're like highs and lows of the week and like things
or complimenting each other,
things we're thankful about with each other, and it's a good way to spend the time. Thank you, Levi. So we also use reminders on iPhone. I think that is probably one of the most underrated apps, just like an app that reminds you of something at a specific time or a location. I like doing that too, just in case I sometimes know that I need to remember to do something when I get to the camper versus like when I leave.
I do like alarms, like I know I need to do something in a little bit, and because I also have ADHD, if I get like really into a task, I will really be into that task. So I set alarms to be like, hey, this is my 5-minute warning that I need to make sure that I'm ready to do whatever it is, or like we're about to leave and things like that.
Yeah, that's true.
So reminders, alarms, like your phone are. Most of us already have smartphones. Your phone has it.
Yeah,
it's already programmed in your phone.
Exactly. You don't need to get anything else. In a lot of cases. Let's see, what else we got on here? We talked about Akiflow. Ooh, ChatGPT. We are both big ChatGPT users, and I listed this as a tool because it is a software, but we use it for things inside the camper, outside of the camper. I use it for, like, general problem solving and researching, helping me, like, talk through situations, creative solutions. I use it for silly things. Like, I don't know if you noticed last night, I was laying in bed playing Stardew.
I recognized.
You saw what I was doing? I realized it's, like, actually super helpful because when you're playing Stardew, or at least when you're new to it like I am, there's so many things you're trying to Google and learn as you do it that you're having to play the game, put down your console, go Google a thing. I literally just started like the audio call with ChatGPT, and I would ask my questions as I had them and be like, okay, it's winter. What fish can I get right now? And it's like, oh wait, I just realized I need a squid. Like, when is it best to get squid? And like I can still play the game and like talk to it rather than have to go like pause and Google those things. So that's probably like the least useful, productive use case, but it was really cool.
A random one that I haven't really done so much here, but I did do back when we were based in Louisiana, was we had like random ingredients in our fridge. And I didn't know what to make. It'd be like, hey, what's a meal I can make with? And I would list out the things that I would want to or I would need to cook that week.
Yeah.
And it came out like, there was one that I wanted, like a quiche. I was like, I have things for quiche, but these are the things, like, I don't know how much of each. And that's another thing. If you don't know how much or how many servings of something to put into a dish, it converts for you so easily. Like, I highly recommend doing that for cooking as well.
It's good at substitutions too.
Well, but and I was gonna say, there are like some things, like we have an air fryer, like we have frozen biscuits. I was like, the instructions are only for like the oven. I was like, so I would take a picture and be like, these are the instructions for an oven. Can you convert this into being used in an air fryer? Made my biscuits perfectly.
We could probably do a whole episode on things we use ChatGPT for, because like I'm sitting there thinking through, like, I have a bunch of other things, like sort of like that too, like food related ones. I have one. I created my own sort of like GPT and like project with it, and I call it Data Byte. And the idea is that it's basically this like prompt that I gave it all of the details of like my blood markers when I had like my latest like blood work done, and it basically knows everything it needs to know about, like, you know, my cholesterol levels, my HDL, my LDL, my like sugar, all these sort of things, and is basically meant to be an objective sort of third party at helping me figure out what kind of foods I can eat that I should or shouldn't. I don't like saying should or shouldn't eat or can or can't eat, but basically it helps me have a non-biased thing that sort of helps me say, oh, these types of foods, here's how it impacts those blood markers, and helps me kind of make an objective decision about, should I have a little bit of this, or is it okay to have a ton of it? And I find that it's really important to kind of think through those sort of conversations in smart ways, because it can be really, like, I can get really caught up in my brain about, like, oh, this is quote unquote bad for me, and it's like, not necessarily. Like, it may actually be not great for someone else's blood markers, but there's a chance it actually doesn't impact mine. Like, a good example is like sugar. Like, I actually don't need to stress too much about sugar right now, but like there are certain things like saturated fats and trans fats that, like, according to my blood markers, I probably should try to cut back on. But the answer is never like nothing, the answer is like, have this once in a while. And that's another thing ChatGPT, like, I have the prompt helping me with, is helping me understand, is this something that like is fine to have once a week, or should it be once a month, and things like that. So anyways,
She's also a chronic overthinker, so.
yes, I also use it for like my hypochondria. So I also talk to ChatGPT, and it knows that I'm hypochondria. So when I have like some symptom, I can like start to describe it, and it asks me the right questions and helps me like think about the 98% of the time it's usually this minor thing. So yeah, I don't know. I guess in theory, like, yes, always consult a doctor. So I'm not saying this is the best advice, but I asked ChatGPT about all sorts of stuff. It's a great like quick Google.
It is a tool. It should not replace any certain thing.
Yeah.
And I think people need to realize that with AI. It can help you some other way, but it should not be the only way you use it to accomplish tasks or get the information you need. And ChatGPT get things wrong. I call out Chat whenever I ask something, it'll give me the wrong information. I will correct it, and then I'll be like, "You're right. Good catch."
I was just telling my coworkers today how it annoys, or maybe it was last night, but telling how it annoys me so much when ChatGPT's like, oh, you're right. I'm so silly. I was wrong about that. Let me try it again. And it does this thing. And then I'm like, yeah, now I'm getting this error. And it's like, oh, you're right. I'm so silly. Obviously, this is now the fix. And it's like wrong again. And it's just like, just give me some of the confidence.
Yeah. So like, just a reminder, it is a tool. It's a machine, and machines sometimes don't get things right. Always, check your sources, do the data right, and don't use it to replace your doctor.
Yeah, at least for things that it matters, right? Like sometimes I'm like, okay, you might be wrong with this code, and I'm going to try it and see what breaks and then debug it on my own. But yeah, definitely for important things, always good to double check that. Other tools that we use, Notion. We've started using Notion. That's actually how we keep track of our show notes and what we're going to talk about and organize things on here. We could, in theory, use Trello. I just find Notion's a little easier for like longer form content. We also could use Google Drive, but I feel like Notion combines the best of like organized database in the sense of like there's a database of episodes and each page has data about, or like page has the information for us to, organize in there.
What I particularly love about Notion is like we'll have like a table of all of our episodes,
Yeah.
and then it kind of just links us to.
Exactly. That's what I was trying to say. I like the like database structure, but being able to like zoom out, but also zoom into like longer form stuff. Yeah. And then, yeah, couple quick mentions for some other tools. We like using Crisp. It's actually kind of quiet right now, so I don't need to use it. But during meetings all day long, I'm using Crisp to block out background noise around me when I'm trying to talk to other people. So, what?
That I'm the background noise.
No, honestly, more of the background noise is me actually typing on my keyboard. That's actually really the prime reason for it. But yeah, every now and then there's a dog barking outside, a dog barking inside, looking at you, Levi. Cats doing shenanigans.
Yeah,
there's always something going on. So shout out to Crisp. I'll include a link to that. We actually have an affiliate code with that. So if you want to use Crisp at a discounted rate and also support us, make sure to use that link. And another tool that I like to use, it's called brain.fm, and it's a really cool tool for when I really want to focus. I'll just put my headphones on and start it. It basically makes these sort of engineered vibes and beats music that is like really meant to like help you focus. And there's different kinds you can use. Like you can kind of select different versions of it.
Like the alpha waves? Or?
Yes, exactly. The binaural beats sort of things that like, yeah, exactly. That kind of help you like focus your brain. And I swear it really does work. Way better than like, pink noise or black noise, white noise, whatever. So yeah, I really like using that. I also have, I think I also have a discount code for Brain FM. So check the show notes and I'll include some links to that as well. So I use Brain FM. What do you use, hun?
I often go either on YouTube or Spotify for Lo-Fi Girl. Shout out to you, Lo-Fi Girl. You got me through law school, studying for the bar, and currently love her. I can stare at her and listen to the music the entire time. Yeah,
she's definitely got, I use that sometimes too, and we'll have that on in the background, but no, I actually prefer Brain FM. It depends on the type of thing I'm working on, but Lo-Fi Girl is definitely a free solution. All right, so that is all. We could talk about this for forever. Please comment or reach out if there's anything you were like, wait, that was really interesting. Can we dive more into that? Because I promise you any one of these tools, I could easily give you a whole hour-long episode about you as well. I'm sure we could, just nerd out about it for forever.
It's like you can create your own content and whatnot just on Trello.
I can and I do. So yeah, but let's move into our pet drama report. I'm really excited for this update.
This is an interesting one. So we knew we were camper people. What we were, I guess, not anticipating fully was our cats, particularly the girls. Lucas is a shy boy, but our girls have now become obsessed with being outside with us.
Yeah, it's not just like inside camper life. They're becoming like, let's go outside, sit in the gazelle, sit in the catio. I definitely think the catio is the genesis of this, and they're like, ooh, we can actually hang out there in like a safe space. Like, they're very excited for it. But Lilo, we will just open the door and she will bust out of the front door and generally go into the gazelle, which is our like outdoor tent, and then inside of there is her catio, and she'll climb right into it, and it's like the cutest little thing.
Yeah, but like the last couple of times we tried to like demonstrate it, she did kind of
veer to the right. Yeah.
Steer off the path, and it was very stressful because we really need to get like proper collars with ID tags on them, but we don't because they're just with us inside all the time.
Yeah.
But she gave us a handful of scares.
Awesome. Okay, and then moving into our last segment for our random question of the week. What is a book that you've been digging?
I think we can use this one book to answer for both of us because it started as something just to pass the time while we were driving. All of our gallivanting when we were heading up back and forth from Canada was the Assistant to the Villain series.
Yeah, it is very cool. I'll include a link to it, but yeah, it's the Assistant to the Villain, and then book 2 is like Apprentice to the Villain. Book 3, I think, is Accomplice to the Villain, and then there's a 4th book, but it doesn't come out for a year or something.
Yeah, it doesn't come out to August. It's called Adversary to the Villain.
Yeah.
It's very cute. It's very fun. It is the ultimate slow burn.
Yeah.
Dear Lord, but it's a lot of fun, especially because we're not the biggest audiobook people, but we found it was very fun listening to this book in particular.
Yeah, we really enjoyed that. So, yeah. All right, friends, that's it for this week's episode of Zoom and Zoomies. Next week, we've got another special guest episode where we'll chat with some other nomads who nomad a little differently than we do.
If you got any questions, topic ideas, or just want to say hi, send us an email at hello@zoomandzoomies.com.
Yeah, we bought that domain. That's exciting. And you can also follow our chaos on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. Just go to zoomandzoomies.com for all of those links. And yeah, you can find us there.
If you liked hanging out with us today, it would mean the world if you left a rating wherever you listen to podcasts and hit the like and subscribe buttons on YouTube. It really helps other people find us and join in all the adventures.
Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time with more Zoomies.